Hello and welcome or welcome back to Bookmark Chronicles. Today I'm doing my August wrap up. It was a pretty decent reading month, however I did have more DNFs than usual, so I'll talk about those, but there's quite a few of them. The first book that I read was Sinful Enforcer. This is book 6 in the Mafia Misfit series. Y'all know that I love this series. It is a series of companion novels following different members of Black Mafia families. This one was 5 stars. Rocco is my favorite, just as I expected he would be, and I can't wait for the rest of the series to come out. I do have a series review of the first 5 books. It's part 1 because there are going to be 10 books in total, so I'm really excited for the next one. Then I started the Infinity Chords. So this was a recommendation from a friend and I did DNF it. However, it wasn't a bad recommendation. The thing that I couldn't get past is the fact that it's YA, so it had a lot of tropes in it that I didn't give a fuck about, but the concept was fantastic. It is a sci-fi and I don't read sci-fi often, so if I can find this concept in an adult sci-fi, I would absolutely love it, I think. In this, we're following a teenage girl. I think her name is Nomi, and she gets murdered. So Infinity is sort of the place where your consciousness goes when your physical body dies. And she gets there and things are a little off, she notices. And so she's not really doing what the people around her are telling her to do because she knows that something is not right, and she ends up running into a little bit of trouble. It was pretty interesting, but again, some of the tropes, the setup, and the way the main character acted, I just couldn't get over it. Then I read Let Me Love You by Alexandria House. It's the first book in the McLean Brothers series, and I liked this one enough. I rated this one 3 stars, and this we're following Big South, who is a rapper, and he meets this woman who is a single mom, and he just wants to take care of her, and she's very skeptical, but they end up falling in love, of course. So I liked it. There were a few things towards the end that he did that irritated me, so it wasn't my favorite, but I did continue the series, and I'll talk about those in a minute. After that, I read Before We Fall. This is the second book in the Unexpected Lovers duology by Rosie Adams. This is the follow-up to Go Deep. I enjoyed this one so much. I should have done a dedicated review for this one, but I didn't think about it at the time. In this one, we are following the friends of Xander and Vea in the first book. Tasha is having some marital issues that were hinted at in the first book, and Cole ends up helping her out. I rated this 4.25 stars, and Rosie Adams did something in this that makes me want to fight them. I still recommend it. I still liked it better than Go Deep, even though it is still technically friends to lovers, so that's a plus. Content warnings though for an abusive relationship. Every type of abuse that you can imagine is included in that book, and so it is a very heavy read, but it was still a satisfying one. Then I attempted to read Den of Vipers, which is a Kindle Unlimited recommendation that I got from someone on TikTok. This is gonna lead to a discussion video that I'm gonna do probably in September. I fucking hated it. It was stupid. In this, we're following a gang who kidnaps this girl because in order to settle his debt, her father basically sold her. Just the setup of it, the Vipers themselves, I didn't like any of them. I didn't even really like the girl. None of it worked for me. And I said in my last Kindle TBR that I'm probably going to DNF it, and that's exactly what happened. Like I said, I'll have a discussion video that includes this later on, but it wasn't for me. Then I did a buddy read of Fireborne. This is the first book in the Aurelian cycle by Rosaria Munda, and this is similar to Fourth Wing. It does include a Dragon Rider Academy, and the dragons are their riders' companions, although they don't talk, but I really enjoyed this. This was actually very good for it to be a YA. I think I had very low expectations because I'm so iffy on YA now, but this was very well done. Yes, there are a few tropes that I didn't care for. Yeah, there were some character moments of stupidity, but I really enjoyed it. I rated it 4.5 stars, and I can't wait to continue the series. In this, we're following Lee and Annie. Both of them are competing to become first rider, and they have been friends for a really long time because they grew up in an orphanage together. However, they end up sort of pitted against each other because of their past and their family history. The dragons, the world, the characters, the political intrigue, all of it was really good. If you enjoy dragons and are a fan of YA, then I would definitely recommend. Then I read Scorpica, the first book in the 5 Queendom series. I really enjoyed this one. I rated it 4.75 stars. I just bought the second one, so I'm hoping to get to that maybe next month. In this, we are following various characters throughout the different queendoms as they're going through what is called the drought of girls. For some reason, little girls are not being born anymore. So they're trying to figure out who the successors of these queendoms will be if they no longer have queens. This is an adult fantasy. It is very political. There's so much violence. And it's gonna sound weird, but I mean that in a good way. Like, there were some brutal moments in here that I was not expecting, and it added to just the stakes of the book overall. I highly recommend it. I annotated it, and I can't wait to continue the series. The second book, Arca, came out this year, so we probably won't get any more for a while, hopefully sometime in 2024, but y'all should pick this one up. So this next book, this has been on my TBR for a very long time, okay? I originally had the paperback of it, and then someone actually traded with me, and they had the Barnes & Noble special edition, and it's a very pretty book. I then wanted to buy the rest of the trilogy, and my Barnes & Noble didn't have it. My boyfriend was kind enough to buy me the other 2 books and give them to me as a gift, and I finally decided to give it a try. Robin and I were gonna buddy read this, and we both DNF'd pretty early on. A Darker Shade of Magic. Now, I tried. Okay, I really did. I tried to do a blended read. I, kept trying to convince myself that it was gonna get better. I got to the part where Delilah, is that her name? I got to the part where she got introduced, and I was like, I don't like you or anything happening here, but it's such a pretty book. The artwork on the inside is beautiful. So I'm going to keep these as decoration, but they're gonna be exactly that, decoration. Don't ask me what this is about. I just know that Kel has a coat that lets him travel through different Londons. There's 3 of them, and one that allegedly used to exist, probably still does, but nobody knows that. There are different types of magic that could have been cool, but that's all I got for you. I don't know anything else. Then I read Fans Only by Beloved. This is my first book by Beloved. I do have another one on my Kindle that I need to read. This is about 2 people who are friends, but they're not very close. They decide to start an OnlyFans because they both have goals that require them to make more money. I rated this 3.5 stars, and it was just okay. Once again, Friends to Lovers is not my favorite, and I didn't necessarily mind it in this one. However, there were certain things that the characters did that were just fucking stupid. That is my biggest fucking issue when it comes to romance, but also when it comes to this trope. We could have avoided certain things. And also, one thing that annoyed me about Aries is that she would be like, I need more money, and I don't want to ask my family for help. Her family has money, but also, like, I spend $700 2 weeks getting my hair and my nails and all this other shit done that I don't really need. So I was like, I kind of don't have any sympathy for you because you're complaining about how much money you don't have, you're spending a minimum of $1,400 a month on things that you don't actually need. And then the love interest did some dumb shit too at the very end of the book, and I was like, this is so fucking dumb. But it was still a fun read. If you would like to read about a couple making an OnlyFans, then go right ahead. This one is probably for you. Then I attempted to read Along for the Ride by Mimi Grace. This is about Jolene and Jason. They are, I guess they're supposed to be enemies to lovers. When we meet them, they don't like each other, but they have to take a 16-hour road trip together because Jolene's sister is married to Jason's best friend. They're moving into a new house. Both of them offer to help, so this is how they are needed. I'm gonna do a DNF review for this one, so you'll hear more about it then. But yeah, the conflict was dumb. People are stupid. I feel like that's my biggest complaint a lot of times, is that this is just stupid. So after that, I attempted to read Have We Met by Camille Baker. I also DNF'd this. This one is about a woman who moves back to her hometown, and something happens where she like drops her phone off a balcony, and when she goes to retrieve it, somehow there's this mysterious app called Met on it, and it's telling her that she may have already met her soulmate or some shit. I don't know. Like the whole mysterious app thing, I wasn't feeling it. I didn't feel any connection to the characters. I just didn't care. And my last DNF of the month was Let Me Hold You. This is book 2 in the McLean Brothers series. I will also be doing a DNF review for this one because I need to talk about it because there was so much going on. And then I told a friend who I know had read it that I was gonna DNF, and they told me what was going to happen. And it is absolutely for the best that I stopped when I did, because I would have been pissed. So in this one, we're following Leland McLean. He is an NBA star. He meets someone while he's volunteering at a summer camp for young boys, and we follow their story from there. There is a connection between the two of them that leads to some drama. So if you want some mess, this might be a good read for you, but I DNF'd at like 40%. After that, I did continue with the McLean Brothers series. I moved on to book 3, Let Me Show You. In this one, we're following Nolan McLean, who is a producer and a director, and his love interest is the best friend of the female main character in book 1. This one was my favorite. I rated it 4.25 stars, and I think because both the characters are just kind of chill compared to everyone else. They also don't want kids, and we know I love that. But this one is definitely the one that I like the best so far. After that, I moved on to book 4, Let Me Free You. In this, we are following Nolan's twin brother, Neil, and a friend of the other female main characters. So I had a prediction for what this one was going to be about because there's something that's mentioned in book 3, and I was like, ooh, let me write this down because I have a prediction. And then I asked somebody and they confirmed it for me before I started reading. This one was also pretty good. Neil is fresh out of rehab, and Sage, her family is Liberian, so she is in trouble of getting deported. So they end up having a marriage of convenience. I love that trope. And I did genuinely like their relationship, so I actually really like them together. But there were personality things that I didn't necessarily love, and some of my romance pet peeves showed up in this one a lot. So I was listening to these on script, and I was getting ready to switch over to the final novella, which is about their sister, and script cut me off. I didn't know that script had limits. Apparently I reached said limit, and I can't listen to anything until September 7th. I feel like this was hella disrespectful. So if you know any more about that, please let me know, because I tried looking in the app and I was like, what is the limit? And I don't know. So I feel like they just didn't want me to be great, which feels like a betrayal because script really has been coming through with the audiobooks, but whatever. I guess I'll read the last one starting September 7th, and then I will do a series review of the McLean Brothers, but yeah, I gotta wait a little bit because I can't read the last one yet. But anyway, I rated Let Me Free You 3.75 stars, and then the final book that I read was Son of the Storm by Suyi Davies Okumbawa. So this was also a recommendation, and I liked it, but I didn't like it as much as I was expecting to like it, you know? And I think the main reason is because the main character is a fucking idiot. So I rated this one 3.25 stars, and we're following Danso, who is half Basai and half Wudon, I guess, whatever. He is engaged to this woman who don't like him, and honestly is quite embarrassed by him. And the thing is that Danso is he's smart, he's a scholar, but the common sense is not there. So he's sort of treated as a second-class citizen though, because he's not fully Basai, and he is a very curious person. He has gotten in trouble before for reading restricted things that he is not supposed to, and that curiosity continues to get him in trouble. So then when there is an intruder in Basai who is referred to as a yellow skin because she has a lighter complexion that is typically seen on what is called like the Nameless Island or something, they don't think that anybody lives there. So everyone's kind of frazzled trying to figure out what's happening, and Danso just can't stay out of trouble. And so I didn't love this one. I'm not going to continue the series. However, Robin did get an arc of it, so I just told her to update me as she goes because I am curious. I don't know what I was expecting. It's kind of slow to start, and then when things did start happening, for me, it wasn't enough. So those are all the things that I read or attempted to read in August. Let me know if you have read any of these or if they are on your TBR. If you know any more about the script situation, please let me know, because I'm upset. But otherwise, that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you in the next video.